I'm sitting alone in my apartment, still wearing the dress from last night's engagement dinner, my makeup smudged from tears, trying to process the moment I gave back the ring and walked away from my fiancé, James, after 2 years together. I'm 28, a female public school teacher, and he's 30, a man from a wealthy family. What was meant to be a joyful celebration turned into a heartbreak I can't shake. James and I met 3 years ago at a nonprofit gala. He's a financial analyst from a privileged background, while I grew up with modest means, working my way through college with scholarships and side gigs. Despite our differences, our connection was immediate. His wit, warmth, and apparent admiration for my drive and dedication to teaching won me over. I fell deeply in love, and he seemed to feel the same. 2 weeks ago, he proposed during a quiet getaway to the shore. It was perfect, romantic, heartfelt, everything I'd dreamed of. I said yes, instantly. The ring, a stunning sapphire, was breathtaking, clearly worth more than I could imagine. I was overjoyed, ready to build a life with him. Last night, we celebrated our engagement at La Belle Époque, an upscale restaurant with his family. I'd met his parents a few times before. His father, Charles, a rigid investment mogul, always made me uneasy with his cold demeanor. His mother, Eleanor, was courteous but aloof, valuing status and pedigree. I spent hours preparing, wearing a burgundy dress I'd saved months for, styling my hair elegantly, and borrowing my friends' diamond studs to feel worthy of their approval. The evening began smoothly. Wine flowed, toasts were made. James held my hand under the table, offering quiet reassurance. But during the entree, Charles fixed his eyes on me. "Eliza, since you're joining the family, we need to discuss the prenuptial agreement," he said, his voice cutting through the chatter. The table fell silent. James stiffened. "Dad, we haven't even picked a venue yet," he said with an uneasy chuckle. "Let's not rush things." Charles's face tightened. "That's absurd. These things must be settled early. The Hamilton estate needs safeguarding." My face flushed with embarrassment. "I'm open to a fair prenup," I said cautiously, trying to keep my composure. Eleanor offered a faint smile. "How sensible of you." Charles pressed on, his tone sharp. "You've certainly done well for yourself, haven't you? A teacher securing a match like this. Your mother must be over the moon." My mother died when I was 20. James knew this. His parents knew this. "She would have wanted me to be happy," I said softly, my appetite gone. Charles smirked. "Of course. Nothing delights a mother more than her daughter landing a wealthy catch." I looked to James, waiting for him to stand up for me, but he stared at his plate, silent. "I didn't say yes to James for his wealth," I said, my voice trembling. "I love him." "Naturally," Eleanor said with a syrupy tone. "The fortune is just a happy coincidence, isn't it?" Charles laughed, a sharp grating sound. "Let's not pretend. Ambitious young women from humble roots don't chase men like my son for their charm." The words stung like a slap. "Excuse me?" I managed. "Dad," James finally said, his voice weak, lacking conviction. "What?" Charles snapped. "I'm just saying what everyone here is thinking. She's a fortune hunter, plain and simple." Then it happened. James let out a short, nervous laugh. Not a defense, not a protest, just a laugh. In that moment, the world went still. I looked at the man I thought I knew and saw him differently. His silence was crushing. His laugh was a betrayal. Without a word, I slid the ring off my finger and set it beside his wine glass. The soft clink echoed in my ears. "Eliza," he started, realizing too late what was happening. I stood, grabbed my clutch, and walked out of the restaurant. Not fleeing, not sobbing, just walking, chin up, one step at a time. I didn't turn back, even when I heard him call my name. Now, alone in my apartment, I wonder if I overreacted, if I threw away my future over one awful night. But then I hear that laugh in my mind, and I know I couldn't have stayed. Was I wrong to leave? Should I have fought harder? Am I proving Charles right by walking away? I don't know what's next, but I know I couldn't marry into a family that sees me as an outsider or stay with someone who wouldn't defend me. Act 2. 3 days have passed since I left the restaurant, and I'm caught in a whirlwind of emotions. James showed up at my apartment the next morning. I was still in my sweatpants, eyes puffy from crying, when his knocking wouldn't stop. Part of me wanted to shut him out, but I needed answers. When I opened the door, he looked disheveled, unshaven, clothes crumpled, holding the ring in one hand and lilies in the other. Typical James, thinking a gesture could fix everything. "Please, Eliza, let me explain," he said, his voice rough. I let him in but kept my distance, arms folded tightly. "I'm sorry about last night," he began. My father was out of line. He'd had too much wine, you know how he is. Do I asked. Because in 3 years, you never told me your father thinks I'm a scheming opportunist. He flinched. He doesn't really believe that. Yes, he does, I said. And what hurts more is that you sat there and let him say it. You laughed. It was just a nervous reaction, he said, exasperated. What was I supposed to do? Make a scene in the middle of La Belle Époque? You were supposed to stand up for me, I said, my voice breaking. You were supposed to tell your father I'm the woman you love, that I've never asked you for a dime, that I've worked hard my whole life. You were supposed to choose me. He set the ring on my side table. I do choose you, Eliza. I love you. My father's opinion doesn't matter. But it does, I said. It matters because you let him disrespect me. It matters because one day we might have kids, and I won't let them grow up hearing their grandfather call me a fortune hunter while their father stays quiet. Quiet? He said, confused. I didn't agree with him. Then what do you call it? I asked. He had no answer. Has your father always seen me this way? I pressed. His hesitation was answer enough. Why didn't you tell me? Because it doesn't matter what he thinks, he said. I love you for you. Your heart, your dedication, your weird love for mystery novels. I care, I said simply. Because his attitude shows what our life would be like. Every holiday, every event, I'd be the woman who trapped you, and you'd be the man who lets it slide. We can fix this, he insisted. I'll make him apologize. We can delay the wedding until things settle. This isn't just about your father, I said, looking at him clearly. It's about you. It's about who you are around him. I don't know that person, and I can't marry him. He left after an hour of arguments that went nowhere, taking the ring with him. I've spent the last 2 days crying, questioning myself, then remembering his laugh and feeling my decision solidify. My roommate, Sarah, has been a lifeline, bringing me coffee and listening to my endless venting. James has called 19 times. Surprisingly, Eleanor texted me, Charles is set in his ways, but he'll soften. Don't ruin your future over stubbornness. As if my self-respect were just pride. Yesterday, my school director called me in. Apparently, Charles had reached out to the board, raising concerns about my emotional fitness to teach. Thankfully, my director, who's known me for years, dismissed it as nonsense. That Charles would try to sabotage my career only confirms I made the right choice. What would he do if we were married and I crossed him? I haven't told James about his father's actions. I'm waiting to see if he'll find out and act. Tonight, Sarah and I are having a Shred the Bridal Magazine's night with a bottle of Merlot. It's both liberating and gut-wrenching. I loved James. I still do. But love isn't enough if he won't stand by me when it counts. The hardest part is the questions from friends and colleagues. Everyone wants to know why the engagement ended. I've kept it vague, saying we wanted different things. It's simpler than explaining how the man I planned to marry sat silent while his father labeled me a gold digger, then laughed like it was a punchline. My cousin called from Oregon after I told her what happened. I always thought he bent too much for his parents, she said. Remember when he canceled your anniversary trip because his mom guilted him into attending her gala? She's right. There were signs. Moments James prioritized his family's wishes over ours. I saw them as him being dutiful. Now I see it was weakness, an inability to stand firm. Yesterday I passed a wedding shop and saw a gown like one I'd saved in my planner. For a moment I felt the loss, not just of James, but of the life we'd envisioned. The home we'd buy, the kids we'd raise, the future that now exists only in some parallel world where he'd had the courage to choose me. But then I remembered Charles's sneer, the way he called me a fortune hunter, and James's laugh, that quiet betrayal. No, I did the right thing. 2 weeks later, the chaos is settling. I'm back to teaching, finding comfort in my third graders' simple joy and questions. Helping a child read a tricky sentence feels grounding when my life feels like a puzzle with missing pieces. I haven't spoken to James in 10 days. After countless calls and texts, he sent an email that clarified everything. He wrote that he loves me but thinks I'm overreacting to one bad night. He suggested we pause until I'm ready to be rational, as if demanding respect is irrational. The real insight came in his closing lines. My family has expectations, Eliza. They've given me everything. Sometimes you accept tough moments for the bigger picture. The bigger picture was clear. His inheritance, his role in his father's firm, his status. I was the one expected to sacrifice my dignity. I didn't reply. 3 days ago, Eleanor called, asking to meet for coffee. Curiosity won, and we met at a quiet cafe far from her usual spots. She looked less pristine, more real, sipping plain coffee. I owe you an apology, she said. What happened at dinner was wrong. I was stunned. Charles has old-fashioned views, she said carefully. James has always craved his approval, even when it costs him. I noticed, I said wryly. She gave a small smile. I should have spoken up. I've been excusing Charles's behavior for decades, softening his edges. I was wrong. Why now? I asked, searching her face. She sighed. Because I was you, Eliza, 30 years ago. From a simple background, in love with a Hamilton man trying to prove my worth. I stayed. I compromised. I told myself it was worth it. I'm not sure it was. My heart clenched. Are you unhappy? Not entirely, she said. I've had a comfortable life, wonderful children, but I lost parts of myself, my voice, my confidence. When you walked out, I envied you. We talked for hours. She shared stories of her early years with Charles, how his family judged her, how she molded herself to fit their world, how James grew more like his father despite her efforts. He loves you, she said, more than anyone. But love isn't always enough, is it? No, I said, tears welling. It isn't. She touched my hand. Whatever you do, don't lose yourself, not for anyone. I've been replaying her words since. Was she cautioning me, supporting me, saying farewell? Maybe all three. This morning, a bouquet arrived from Charles with a note. My actions were inappropriate. CH. No real apology, just a statement. Classic. I haven't told James about his parents' gestures. I'm not sure if they've mentioned them to him. Part of me wonders if this is a test. Will he make amends on his own, or only if prompted? Sarah thinks I should block him. My cousin says I escaped a disaster, but it's not that clean. I didn't just lose a fiancé. I lost the life we planned, the house, the family, the dreams. They don't fade easily. Each morning, I check my left hand, expecting the ring's weight. Its absence is both a wound and a freedom. A month since that dinner, and life has shifted in ways I didn't expect. Last weekend, while packing my apartment, I could no longer afford it alone, James appeared at my door. Seeing him amid moving boxes and tape was a jolt. You're leaving? He asked, pained. I can't afford this on my salary, I said. I'll cover my part, he offered. You don't have to go. Yes, I do, I said, setting down a stack of books. Why are you here? He'd quit his job at his father's company and taken a role at a smaller firm across town. He showed me a letter, his father's furious response to his decision. I should have done this years ago, he said. Been my own person, not his shadow. I invited him in for coffee, and we talked openly for the first time in years. He admitted he'd spent his life chasing his father's approval, even when it meant betraying his values. He acknowledged how he'd failed me, not just at dinner, but in smaller ways I'd overlooked. I don't expect you to take me back, he said. I just wanted you to know you were right. I didn't know how to respond. Part of me wanted to embrace him, start anew. Another part remembered his laugh, the fleeting moment he considered his father's words. I need time, I said. I'm proud of you for standing up, but this isn't just about your father. He nodded. Take all the time you need. I'll be here. After he left, I felt a strange peace. The future didn't feel so daunting. 2 days later, Eleanor invited me to lunch. She said Charles was reeling from James's choice. She seemed freer, almost vibrant. Charles can't fathom why James would leave everything for... She paused. For himself, I said. He did it for himself. She smiled. Yes, he did. Before we parted, she gave me a velvet pouch containing an antique ruby ring. This was my grandmother's, she said. Charles thought it was too plain for a Hamilton wife, but it's all I have from my family. Keep it, whether you and James reconcile or not. It's a reminder to hold on to your spark. I tried to refuse, but she insisted. It wasn't an engagement ring. It was a symbol of shared understanding. I didn't move to the tiny apartment I'd planned. Instead, my friend Emma needed a housemate in a place across town, near my school, with a yard for the flowers I've always wanted to grow. It feels like a choice made for me, not someone else's life. James and I talk weekly, over coffee, peeling back years of assumptions. He's different away from his family. Lighter, more authentic. Last week, he asked to start over. I said I wasn't ready, that I need to know myself first. He understood. Today, I wear Eleanor's ruby ring on my right hand, a vow to myself to never silence my voice or settle for less. I don't know if James and I will reconcile. I don't know if his changes will stick. But walking out of that restaurant was the hardest, most vital thing I've done. It led me back to myself. 6 months later, that dinner feels both recent and distant. I'm on the porch of my new home, a cozy craftsman with green shutters and an oak tree out front. I used my wedding savings for the down payment. Each mortgage payment feels like a declaration of independence. James and I tried to rebuild for 3 months. Honest talks, therapy, clear boundaries. He stayed at his new job, resisting his father's pressure to return. He joined a group for people with overbearing parents. He was trying. But something had changed. At restaurants, I braced for men who looked like Charles. Meeting his colleagues, I searched for signs of judgment. The trust we'd lost wouldn't heal. 2 months ago, over dinner at my place, I said, "I don't think we can fix this." He wasn't surprised. "Because of my father?" he asked. "No," I said, "because of us. I know what I need in a partner, and you know who you need to be. We can't give that to each other." We cried, grieving what we'd lost and what we'd learned too late. He kissed me goodbye, returned Eleanor's ring when I offered it, and left with respect. Charles sent a curt note. "James told me of your separation. I wish you success moving forward." From him, it was practically affectionate. Eleanor and I still meet for coffee. She's painting again, rediscovering a passion she lost as a Hamilton wife. Last month, she showed me a watercolor of 2 women by a lake. "That's us," she said, "in another world." I'm now head teacher at my school with a small pay bump. I've started dating, carefully, not rushing. I'm whole on my own in a way I never was. Friends say I should write a memoir, how leaving a fancy dinner changed my life. Maybe I will. For now, I sit on my porch, watching my oak tree's leaves turn golden, Eleanor's ring on my right hand. It's a reminder of the woman who stayed and the woman who left. Last week, I saw James at a cafe with a woman laughing at her phone. His smile wavered when he saw me, then steadied. We chatted briefly, updating each other. As I left, he touched my arm. "Thank you," he said. "For what?" "For having the courage I lacked, for showing me what it means to value yourself." "Take care, James," I said, smiling without pain for the first time. "I am," he said. "Really." Walking away, I felt closure. Sometimes love means letting go. Sometimes happily ever after is the life you build yourself, step by step, choice by choice. I slipped Eleanor's ring into my pocket. I don't need the reminder anymore. I am the reminder of strength, worth, and the power of walking away when staying costs too much. Was it worth it? The hurt, the loss, the rebuilding? As I unlock my little greenhouse, mine alone, I know with absolute certainty. Yes, 1,000 times, yes. Thank you all for your support and kind words. They gave us strength to stand firm and trust ourselves. Thank you for being there through this. Thanks for following this crazy family saga with me. If you're into Reddit family drama, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications for the next one.